What is the key to success? There are more claims of having keys to success than there are doors to it. And most people on some level long for success. There are so many resources happy to tell you about the steps you should take on your way to success. What happens if on your journey to success, you realize that you don't know what it means to you? How can you be successful when you're unclear on what success even means? It's why so many people think once they achieve fill in the blank, I'll be happy. I'll be content. My life will be perfect. Only to find out they are still where they are. In this episode of The Liberal Black, let's talk about success. What's the key and what does it even mean? Okay, y'all, so let's face it. I am not some guru. I do not know all the things. I'm doing this episode because this is something that came to me while I was reading an article, and it made me just think about my own path in life and my own desires and thoughts. And I said, well, let me do some research on success and what that means. And as I was doing it and, kind of starting to work on some vision board stuff for myself for the new year, I thought, well, this would make a great podcast. Let me share with the family some of the stuff that I am finding out. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just sharing with you. You know how we do. So first, we have to talk about the definition of success. What does success even mean? How is it measured? Now, the dictionary definition of success, of successful, is accomplishing an aim or purpose. A successful attack on the town was the example it used, which, given our current times, that was kind of, I don't think ironic is the right term, but it stood out. That example it had there in the dictionary. Similar words: victorious, triumphant, fortunate, lucky, which are all very interesting words because a lot of times don't we think of people who are successful as being they won, they're triumphant, they're victorious, or how lucky that person is, how fortunate they are to have obtained such success. Or as my mom liked to say, you're blessed. No such thing as luck. You're blessed. But whatever you want to call it. Then the other definition the dictionary gave for it was having achieved popularity, profit, or distinction. A successful actor. Similar to prosperous, affluent, wealthy, rich, well-to-do. Interesting that it is associating, money with what it means to be successful. And I think that is very telling, of course, about the world that we live in. I think, for me, what it means to us, however we define success, really is a representation of how we view the world. It represents what is most important to us, or it could also, in a more unhealthy version, represent how you've been programmed to believe what is important to you. Ultimately, though, it should be from a place that gives us joy, security, peace, fulfillment, belonging, something like that. It should whatever you are looking at to measure your success, and I say you should, and I don't mean in terms of like, oh, you better do this. I just mean typically however you're defining success for yourself is probably giving you some of those feelings, some of that. Um, it's doing one of those things for you. It's giving you joy, security, peace, fulfillment, belonging. And when we think about successful people, who do we think about? I actually posted because I was really curious to see what my friends would say. And I asked that question on Facebook. I said to them, who do you see as being successful, but they are not filthy rich? They're not, they're not wealthy. And someone used their mother as an example because she had raised 3 kids as a single mother. Someone said me, as in Cleo, your host. Um, but they said it because I have an IMDb page. But okay. Um, I guess just because I guess that's saying your work being recognized makes you successful. So I get it. Um, how do you define success? Who do you think of as successful out there? I feel like I'm yelling at you tonight. I don't know why. I think I'm overcompensating because it's really late right now when I'm recording, and I even have a candle lit in my studio, and I think I'm trying to project energy because I'm a little tired. But so hopefully I'm not yelling at you right now. If I am turning the volume down, which you probably already have done that already. But let's get back to the task at hand. So when we think of successful people, who do we think about? We think of rich people sometimes. Sure, they've overcome odds, but is money the definition of success? Or is it freedom, the freedom that comes with money, the luxuries, the privilege? But maybe you see someone else as successful, such as they have a family. A mother, a person who wants to be a mother and doesn't have kids may see a woman who has children as that's a success, right? Because she wants that's a goal of hers is to have children, or many people who want to adopt. Just recently, I read in the news that some policy Trump had reinstated his administration that basically said gay people could be discriminated against in certain cases for adoption. So I'm sure to gay people, gay couples who want to adopt, they may see people who have children or who can adopt as successful. So I think we definitely have to look at others, people who are authorities in this, of course. I'm not going to spend the whole time pontificating my thoughts on it. When I was doing some research on one of the websites, I think it was savvyselfgrowth.com, they had interviewed some people, and there was a list of different things people said, from living comfortably is how they define success, being happy at work and at home, seeing your family do better than you, helping others, thriving in your passion, healthy social life, financial freedom, with different things that people said about how they viewed what it means to be successful. Now, on the popular, a very popular writer, Brene Brown, writer, speaker, in an interview she did with, I do not have, I think it's with Heather Bowen Ray. At least this is an article from Heather Bowen Ray, was the writer of this article, where she quotes Brene Brown, where Brene Brown who said, quote, "Defining success is one of the most powerful things you can do as a family, as a couple, individually. There is a default definition that is money, materialism, accomplishment, and achievement. So, if you don't come up with your own subversive definition, there is the default. Narrow-minded focus on the traditional success measure, money and power, often leads to burnout and damages our mental and physical health and well-being." So, end quote. So, very, 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 very interesting, because I think I kind of was alluding to this in the beginning of the podcast tonight. We oftentimes by default go to money and power, material things, career success. But I think if we dig deeper into it and be more specific for ourselves about what success is and what success means, we can get a little bit closer to achieving it. So in our next segment, we're going to talk about how do we figure out what our definition of success is? How do you do that? How do you figure out what your definition of success is? And we'll do that right after this break. Hey, fam. Did you know that the Liberal Black podcast is hosted by the Anchor platform? Well, it is. When I started podcasting, I knew absolutely zero about what to do and where to start. But the Anchor platform has been so easy to use that I'm now entering my 4th season of podcasting. Hard to believe. Give it a try for yourself by downloading the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Okay, and we are back. So how do you figure out your definition of success? First, you have to look inside out, not outside in. It has to be a intrinsic thing for it to really be meaningful. So on ImogeneRoy.com, that's www.imogenroy.com, she's a life coach, and she says, looking at financial stability, creative freedom, lifestyle design. Financial stability, creative freedom, and lifestyle design. So when looking at these things, first let's start with financial stability. It means having control over your time, workload, and income. It means you can sustainably earn the income you want without working more than you want. Okay? Creative freedom means working as much as you want, when you want, where you want, and with whom you want. Lifestyle design means arranging work around your lifestyle, not the other way around. It means being able to prioritize your family, your health, your hobbies, and still deliver great work. Very interesting, right? So this is how Imogene is discussing or kind of breaking down what it might look like to have a successful life. Do you agree? Are those the qualities that you see making your life successful? If you had control of those things? If so, then maybe that's the definition for you. Now, on savvyselfgrowth.com, one of the things that they talk about both defining success, but what I like about that website, they go further into saying, well, how you define success really largely depends on on what your values are, on how you define your values. And so there's a list of values that they list on the website savvyselfgrowth.com. And I'm going to give you a few. And I say savvy as in SAVVY, savvy, self, SELF, growth, GROWTH.com. So on savvygrowth.com, looking at your values, they mention health. Are your values time with loved ones? Do you value compassion? Do you value making a difference? Awareness, honesty, abundance, delivering great value, simplicity, structure, love, gratitude, fun, joy, enthusiasm, laughter, learning, knowledge, wisdom, writing, sharing, teaching, peace. So if you look and kind of figure out, because there's many other values that could be listed, but if you think about what your values are, that can help you define what success means to you, right? Because if honesty and compassion are the most important values to you, working in the New York Stock Exchange ain't gonna work for you, right? It's not gonna work for you, boo. So knowing that about yourself, knowing where your values lie, can help you determine what success means for you. But even as I say this, I also feel like we have to recognize as we live, as we grow and get life experiences, we begin to value different things. Our values shift. And so our definitions of success, therefore, will change. I know mine have definitely changed over time and over life. From thinking, one thing to thinking another thing, it's definitely changed. So, and I'm definitely here for the whole idea of working when you want and how you want. And you can even do that within the confines of, I guess, a scheduled job, especially if you have a passion for that job. So think about your values. Think about looking at this from the inside out to determine your definition of success. So once you kind of have that idea in your mind about how you define success, what do you do with it? What are some action steps you can take to move forward and to make success a reality? So, of course, the big thing you oftentimes will hear is write it down, make a plan, because it is a commitment. And where possible for yourself, number 2, we're going to set deadlines. Number 3, Develop a growth mindset, meaning you are always learning, that you're not stagnant in life, no matter how old you get. My motto at work is I'm young, I'm hip, I'm with it. And not meaning that I'm trying to be young and hip, but meaning that I'm young, I'm hip, I'm open minded, I am flexible, I'm adaptable. It's that kind of an attitude. It's an attitude. And I say it jokingly to some of the younger faculty sometimes, and some of the younger students, just to say, hey, I'm open. I'm open, even if it may be uncomfortable sometimes, or I'm like, ooh, what is that? I'm still open to the idea. So number one, make a plan. Number two, set deadlines. Number three, develop a growth mindset. Number four, self-care. Relax, treat yourself, do things to make yourself feel better. Number five, develop a morning routine. And I have some resistance to, because number five and number six are both about routines. Number five is develop a morning routine. Number six is develop an evening routine. And I'll be honest with you, if I could just kind of go on a quick tangent here for a second. I sometimes resist monotony. I'm someone who does enjoy. I like, I guess, kind of multitasking and doing a bunch of different things, and sometimes, and I like, I guess, I don't mind when things are not always the same. And so for me, sometimes I have trouble going consciously. This is the morning routine thing I'm going to do. However, I can see how that can help you as a successful person. In terms of, I get up, I work out, I eat my oatmeal, I watch the news, and my clothes are ironed, and I go to work. Like, I can see how those things can help to streamline your morning, or in terms of your evening routine, making sure you do certain things and go to bed the right amount of time so that you can do number 7, which is exercise regularly and eat properly, and get the right amount of sleep. Number 8, manage your finances. Don't ignore those. Number 9, examine habits of successful people. Read about it. Watch this. Nowadays, we're so lucky with TED Talks and all the videos and stuff that are out there. If you're not a big reader, you can definitely probably find something to watch. And number 10, I really like number 10. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if you do have a growth mindset, that means you're learning. And oftentimes when you're learning new things, it is uncomfortable, or new ways of trying things. It can be uncomfortable. And so I think you do have to get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable. Number 11, identify your strengths and work on them. Don't get hung up on your weaknesses. And number 12, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And these are all from soulsalt.com, these 12. And I think they had like about 30 that I kind of just wiggled out these 12. But there's another 18 more waiting on you if you're interested in reading the article where they talk about defining success. And actually, it's their Habits of Successful People article from soulsalt.com. So, Elon Musk was quoted as saying, "If you're not progressing, you're regressing. So keep moving forward." And there's another quote I like that I read where someone said, "Success without fulfillment is failure." So I like to think of the idea of combining these two. So Elon is totally right, of course. If we're not progressing and thinking and growing, we are regressing on some level. I think that can be attributed to the Republican Party. If you want to be honest, that's why they've regressed so much. But I digress. But success without fulfillment is failure. So seeking, but you know what? Success without fulfillment, though, means the success is not an intrinsic success, it's external success. Because if the success is intrinsic, meaning it's coming from within, then it will be a success. So if the success is intrinsic, meaning coming from within, it will be a success. You know, sometimes I think we have to treat ourselves almost like we're our own LLC, our own corporate entity, because there are so many departments within ourselves that we have to manage on our way to success, which is both the beauty and the terror, right? Because we have full control of it all. Every day is filled with potential. How are we using it? So, I saw a post or a meme or whatever you want to call it, meme, a meme, that said, your first podcast will be awful. Your first video will be awful. Your first article will be awful. Your first photo will be awful. Your first game will be awful. But you can't make your 50th without making your first. So get it over with and make it. And then I added, life is too short, just do it. It really is, y'all. I often think fear of trying and failing keeps us all off. It keeps us all on the bench and keeps us out of the game. And, or as Brene Brown would say, out of the arena. So don't let fear of failure keep you out of the arena, keep you out of the game. Try again. I think most of us don't regret the things we tried and failed at. We regret the things that maybe we gave up on or the things we never tried at all. So let's try to not to live with any regrets. Let's try not to live out of a place of fear. I'm going to be working on this definition of success. I'm going to work on it, maybe bring it up to my therapist to talk to him about it, get some coaching on that. And, we're going to do this. We're going to keep making the new year even better every day. Even though there's tons of trash and horrible things happening, we're going to move forward and we're going to make this a successful year for us, despite all the craziness going on. We're going to be like that episode in Lovecraft Country where Letitia Lewis is walking down the street of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're dropping bombs around her. But because she has the magic, she's been touched by magic and she's indestructible, she's walking through explosions and nothing's touching her. That's how we're going to be in this year, right? We're going to, not that we won't get singed and burned, but that we're going to keep walking forward towards our destination, towards our goal, and we're going to be, even if we don't achieve it, we're going to still be much closer to it than we would have been if we hadn't given it a try. It's hard to believe, we're in the 4th season, but this is still a very, very young podcast. This podcast is under a year old. We started the podcast, and I use the royal we. We started the podcast, I would say, back in sometime near when the pandemic started. So that's like March. So I'm say March 2020. So if we count March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. We are, 10 months now? 10 months. It's really crazy that it's going to be a year, almost a year in just a few months that we've been doing the podcast. So anyway, thanks again. I appreciate your support so much for listening and being a part of the Liberal Black family. Be sure to like, share, comment on all the social media, and we appreciate you. Take care. Be safe out there. Bye. Hey fam, I'm so thankful that you've chosen to listen to the Liberal Black podcast. If this is your first time, welcome to the family. And if you're a repeat offender, good to see you back, cousin. Head over to theliberalblack.com for more information. You can download this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. Also, check us out on Twitter and Instagram. I am Mr. Cleo, and this is the Liberal Black Podcast. Be encouraged.